You know that sinking feeling, right? When you spot a water stain on the ceiling or you open that water bill and it's suddenly doubled? Well, that's not just bad luck. It's often the very last sign of a silent war that's been waged against your home. Today, we're going to go underground and expose the hidden forces that are secretly wrecking your plumbing. It's the question every homeowner absolutely dreads. One minute, everything seems totally fine, and the next, you're dealing with a major flood. But here's the secret. These disasters almost never just happen suddenly. Nope. They are the loud, messy conclusion to a long, silent battle that's been happening right under your feet. It usually starts with something really small. Maybe you notice some weird sounds, like your toilet gurgling after you flush. It seems pretty minor, super easy to just ignore and move on. Then, a month later, maybe your water bill just shoots through the roof for no reason. You look around, you don't see any obvious leaks, but something is clearly chewing through a lot of water somewhere in your system. Or maybe you see a patch of your lawn that's just weirdly green and kind of swampy, even though it hasn't rained in a week. Listen, these are not isolated problems. They are clues, and they all point to a much, much bigger story. So, if we want to find the real culprits, we have to look past the usual suspects. The leaky faucets and the running toilets. We've got to dig deeper. The real story, it actually begins right below your foundation. And this, right here, is where most of us get it wrong. We blame the pipes themselves, but a lot of the time, the real source of the problem isn't the pipe at all. It's the hostile environment that it's buried in. That's right. The battle for your home's plumbing is being fought in your very own backyard by forces of nature and history that you probably don't even know exist. Take Bowie, Maryland, for instance. The ground there is packed with this stuff called expansive clay soil. What that means is every time it rains and every time it gets dry, the earth is literally squeezing and then pulling at the pipes. It creates this constant, invisible pressure that sooner or later leads to a break. And this example, it really uncovers a pattern. It turns out there are 4 major hidden forces waging this war on our homes, and it doesn't matter if you live in Bowie or somewhere else with similar conditions. All right, let's break them down. We've got expansive soil, invasive tree roots, aggressive water chemistry, and what's basically a ticking time bomb of old, aging pipes. Each one is a totally different kind of enemy, and each has its own unique method of attack. So first up is that expansive clay soil. The best way to think about it is like a giant, powerful sponge right under your house. When it gets wet, it swells up and it squeezes your pipes. But when it dries out, it shrinks and pulls away, which causes the pipes to shift around. This constant movement can eventually just crack the joints and cause these hidden, slow leaks. Next, we have a biological invader. Tree roots. We all love our mature trees. They're beautiful, but their roots are absolutely relentless water seekers. They can sense even the tiniest little crack in an old clay sewer pipe, force their way inside, and then grow into a blockage so dense that literally nothing can get through. The third threat actually comes from the inside out. It's hard water. It's full of minerals, and over time it leaves these hard deposits inside your pipes. This buildup, it's called scale, is basically like plaque in an artery. It just slowly chokes off the water flow, it clogs up your fixtures, and it can even cause your water heater to fail years before it's supposed to. And finally, there's a threat that could be hiding inside your walls right now. For a while, builders used this cheap plastic piping called polybutylene. The problem? Well, it turns out it has a fatal flaw. The chlorine in our everyday tap water makes it brittle from the inside out until one day it just fails catastrophically without any warning whatsoever. So here's the deal. If your home was built any time between the late 70s and the mid-90s, you really need to pay attention. This stuff could be a ticking time bomb behind your drywall. Yeah, they stopped making it for a very good reason, but not before millions of homes were built with it first. Okay, so with all these invisible forces out there attacking your home, how in the world do you fight back? Well, you need a professional battle plan, one that's armed at the right tools and the right strategies. When you're talking about blockages, the pros have 2 main weapons. Snaking is kind of like using a corkscrew to pull out one specific clog. But hydrojetting, well, that's the heavy artillery. It uses a super high-pressure blast of water to just scour the entire inside of the pipe clean of everything, from grease to those invasive tree roots. And the process of getting help, it shouldn't add to your stress. A good professional follows a really clear 3-step process. First, you call. Simple. Second, they figure out the real problem and give you a clear, upfront price. No surprises. And only after you approve do they do the repair and then verify it's fixed for good. A pro's work really falls into three main buckets. You've got your true emergencies, the stuff that just can't wait. Then you have your scheduled repairs for all those annoying problems that are just slowly getting worse. And finally, there are the big, proactive upgrades, like getting rid of those risky polybutylene pipes before they ever get a chance to fail. So after looking at all these threats and all these solutions, what's the one crucial thing to remember? It all really boils down to one simple but really powerful idea. The single most important takeaway is this. You have to understand your home's specific situation. Do you have clay soil? Are there big, mature trees right next to your sewer line? Was your house built in the 1980s? Just knowing the answers to those questions is the first and most critical step to preventing a disaster down the road. Which leaves us with one last, pretty important question for you to think about. Now that you know about these hidden forces, the soil, the roots, the water, and the history, what's hiding underneath your home?